Now, another question that people ask is whether or not those in heaven will be able to see those tormented in hell. If so, how could anyone ever enjoy heaven? Well, Dr. Lutzer answers that question. Listen.
You say, well, does that mean that we who are in heaven are going to see the torments of hell? The Bible is not clear about that, but Jonathan Edwards, I think, was right when he said that heaven will not have pity on hell, not because heaven is unloving, but because heaven is perfectly loving. We're going to see everything from God's viewpoint. So first of all, it will be based on what people did with what they knew. Secondly, could I remind you today that those who do not know Christ as Savior are eternally guilty? Eternally guilty? You see, if it was possible for human suffering to somehow compensate for our sin, eventually hell would no longer exist. People would have, quote, paid for their sins. But may I say it very clearly that there is no human suffering that can pay for so much as a single sin. The only person who could suffer on behalf of sin, whose sacrifice and suffering was received, is Jesus Christ, because he was God and therefore he is able to give us the righteousness of God which we need to get into heaven. But no human suffering can pay for sin. Remember the words of the song, "Could my tears forever flow? Could my zeal no respite know? All for sin could not atone. Thou must save, and thou alone." I think that oftentimes also we overlook the seriousness of our sin. You know, we say to ourselves, well, what I have done is not that big a deal. Well, wait a moment. Wait a moment, it is a big deal because it was done in the presence of God, and all sin is sin against him. What if Jonathan Edwards was right? Edwards said that the size of a sin should be determined by the size of the being against whom it has been committed. You know what that would mean? Every sin of ours is a huge, infinite sin. God takes sin very, very seriously.